Going into the 2021 NBA season, I felt it was a big season for the New Orleans Pelicans. They just missed the playoffs in Zion's first year in the NBA, and especially in the bubble as well. The whole play-in tournament, it's kind of, people are saying it was brought in to help get the Pelicans into the playoffs, get Zion and LeBron in a first round matchup in the playoffs. As it turned out, the Pelicans, they underperformed massively and they ended up missing out in the playoffs. Some positives from that season: Brandon Ingram did become a first-time All-Star, so there were signs of promise moving forward into the second season. Also, they changed head coach. Stan Van Gundy got brought in. Now, some people questioned that appointment. He'd been out of the game for a few years. He had most of his success in the 2000s, but we'll get into that later on in the video. Now, they currently sit 11th in the Western Conference with a 17-23 record, behind teams like the Memphis Grizzlies, Golden State Warriors without Klay Thompson, and the San Antonio Spurs. Before the season, you predict they'd be ahead of at least two of those teams. The Grizzlies, they're a good team, maybe an underrated team, but the San Antonio Spurs and the Klay Thompson-less Golden State Warriors, you'd expect the Pelicans to be a bit higher up in the standings. Now, the Pelicans and the Suns were on a similar level going into the bubble last year. But they both have gone in different directions since. The Suns have brought in Chris Paul, Jay Crowder, and Monty Williams as their head coach, and they're now second in the Western Conference. While the Pelicans, as I said, they brought in Stan Van Gundy. They also lost Drew Holiday in the off-season. They brought Eric Bloodsow and Steve Adams in the off-season, and they've gone two different directions. Pelicans 11th, Suns 2nd. They're on similar wavelengths before the start of the season. The Pelicans, they've been one of the most inconsistent teams this year in the NBA for sure. On Monday night, for instance, they bet the Los Angeles Clippers, who are I think 4th in the West, so a contender for sure. The Clippers are a contender. They bet them by 20 points, so they had a great win on Monday night versus the Clippers. The next night, they played the Blazers. They take a double-digit lead, and they end up blowing it. And Damian Lillard hitting a game-winning shot, I think it was free throws near the end. So the Pelicans, they throw away leads. They've lost to some bad teams this year, including the Timberwolves twice. They've also lost to the Timberwolves by 30 points in one of those games. So, losing Timberwolves are one of the worst teams in the league, maybe even the worst team. I think it's beating them the Pistons, and losing to them twice and by 30 points in one of those games is not really good enough for them. They've also lost to the Kings, Chicago Bulls twice. So these are bad losses, and the Pistons actually as well. They've lost some bad games that you need to be winning. That gives you the room to lose to teams like the Lakers and some other contenders up there. Now, the Pelicans, they've blown 11 double-digit leads this season. So they've been ahead by over 10 points, and they've blown it 11 times, which isn't good enough. You gotta be better on the defensive end. They're a very good offensive team, but defensively, they're very, very weak. So now let's get into some of their players and see how they're doing. First of all, we gotta talk about Zion Williamson. He's become a first-time All-Star this year with the Pelicans, averaging 25.6 points per game, 7 boards, and 3.5 assists per game, on 62% shooting from the field and 32% shooting from 3. So not the best from three-point range, but he can hit them. Zion, as the season has gone on, he's began to run the offense more. He's become more involved, get more touches on the ball, not just relying on dunks and driving to the rim. As his pick and roll game has really gone up this year. I see him and JJ Redick as well. When JJ Redick's played, he hasn't played a lot recently, but when them play together, they got a good thing going on there. But JJ's future, you don't know. That's not too clear either. And he also became the 4th youngest All-Star this season, behind LeBron, Kobe, and Magic. So all in all, he's had a good season for sure. A great season really. As a second-year player, averaging 25.6 points per game, 7 boards. That's a very good season. And after all the injuries he had last year and the minutes restrictions, I think that's been taken off him this year. That's one of the things you can give credit to Van Gundy for. At least he's getting his star player on the court. Last year, I remember all his minutes restrictions in the bubble. What's the point of even being there? Brandon Ingram, he became a first-time All-Star last year. As I said, this year he's averaging 24 points per game, 5 boards, 4.7 assists per game, on 48% shooting from the field and 37.8% shooting from 3 on 6.3 attempts a game. So he's having a good season. For me, an All-Star snub. He was in my All-Star snubs video. He's a very similar scoring season to last year, so I think he's had another very solid and another great season in his development, Also 87.5% shooting from the free throw line, which is, funny because I think it was a Blazers game that he missed some clutch free throws. But, you can't take it all in one game. He's had all in all the games they played, he's had a good season. He's far from the problem. The Blazers game, especially, he didn't play well. They kept giving him the ball 2 or 3 plays, just him isolating. And they should have gave the ball to Zion for a bit more, get Zion involved in the offense in that one instance. But, Brandon Ingram isn't the problem. He's had a very good season, maybe even an underrated season, It's very hard to go back to back very good season, especially as a young player. He's having pretty much the same numbers, which is very good for a player at his age. So Brandon Ingram, far from the problem. People question the fit between him and Zion, and that's for Pelicans fans. They watch more Pelicans than me. They know both players. As a Lakers fan, I know Brandon Ingram, but how they work together, him and Zion, so that's up to them. But from an outside looking in, Brandon Ingram is far from the problem. Another player who came from the Lakers and has had plenty of problems over the years is Lonzo Ball. But this year, especially in the last month or two, he's come back from the dead, a bit of renaissance, at such a young age as well. Averaging 14.2 points per game, 4.2 rebounds and 5.5 assists per game on 42.6% shooting from the field and an impressive 39% shooting from 3 on 3 threes a game. Now Lonzo, we all know he's got that really weird jump shot at the start of his career. They've kind of changed it as time has gone on in New Orleans, and it's starting to show off. He's averaging above league average shooting from 3 on 3 threes a game. Lonzo started the season poorly, as I said, but recently he's gone up a level and he's done very, very well. His shooting from 3 has been unbelievable in the last couple of weeks, even a month, I think, at this stage. And it's recently also he got a game where he got against the Blazers, that same Blazers game I'm talking about with Brandon Ingram. He got 17 assists in that game. Same game that took double-digit lead and blew. So Lonzo, in that game alone, he's also had a problem. Getting 17 assists per game, you're far from the problem. Lonzo, he's had a weird season this year with the Pelicans. At the start of the season, the Pelicans looked like they were open to offers for him. They were fine losing him. Now he's playing well. There's rumours that they wanted to keep him. There's also rumours that Lonzo in free agency could go to the Knicks. He's going to get paid this summer anyway, for sure, because he's playing very well right now, and he's getting paid if he can keep this up. If we can see a consistent Lonzo Ball, he just needs to be a bit more aggressive going to the rim. He's shooting more threes to get more aggressive in that aspect, but just keep driving to the rim. But other than that, Lonzo's having a great season this year. We all know his playmaking and his passing, but we knew that when he first came into the league. It's bad his shooting has improved, and obviously getting everyone involved, that's what he does. Getting the role players involved. So he's had a great season, and he will get paid in the off season if he can keep this up. But one player who hasn't had a great season is Eric Bloodsow, and when I'm doing my research on these videos, I'm seeing a lot of Pelicans fans very unhappy with Eric Bloodsow. Now Bloodsow, he came in, as I said, in the off season from the Milwaukee Bucks. He's averaging 12 points per game, 3.4 rebounds and 3.8 assists per game on 42% shooting from the field and 38% shooting from 3. So stat line, it's not terrible. Looking at stat line alone, if you didn't watch any of the Pelicans game, you saw the stat line, you wouldn't be too surprised. But Bloodsow, when I watch him play, he clearly doesn't want to be with the Pelicans. He clearly wants to be on a contender like the Bucks. He doesn't, he's not playing his best. Kind of like Blake Griffin. Actually, no, we don't know about Blake Griffin yet because we haven't seen him play with the Nets. But I think Blake Griffin would be a different player with the Nets. Like a James Harden almost, playing very poorly in Houston, then going to the Nets and turning it on. I think Bloodsow just doesn't want to be in New Orleans. His defense is usually one of his biggest strengths. It's one of his biggest strengths that he has. But this season he's been well off it on the defensive end. He's been really poor, almost a liability on the defensive end. They're actually probably better without him on the defense. When players come out for pick and roll, he really struggles in that end of the court right now. And plus his points per game are down as well. So all in all, he's had a very poor season. The Pelicans fans anyway would love to move him on probably this stage. He's a liability, as I said, especially on the defensive end. So that's surprising, because I thought in the off season he's not a bad pickup, and I'm sure those are contending teams like the Clippers would have wanted to pick him up. It depends what Eric Bloodsow you get now, because this Eric Bloodsow is very, very poor. Now on to some of the other role players they got here. As I mentioned at the start, JJ Redick, he's averaging 9 points per game and 36.5% shooting from 3 on 4.5 threes a game. So he's shooting below his average 3-point shooting. That's down, but it could be another case if he doesn't want to be there. He wants to be on a contender. Maybe a change of scenery is what's best for him. I'm sure he gives his all. He seems like a player who would give his all, but maybe he just needs to change the scenery. And his future is up in the air. there's been rumours that he's on the trading block for months now. They go away after a while. You know, I don't know what the story of JJ Redick is. Will they buy him out? As a Lakers fan, we can do 3-point shooting if he gets bought out. You can come on down to Lakers if you want, JJ. But he just seems to be chilling and, you know, doing his podcast and saying that he hasn't played recently. Don't know what's wrong with him. Maybe injured or something. But he's chilling with his podcast, so he's cool. Steven Adams, another off-season signing. 8 points per game he's averaging and 9.1 boards. Now Steven Adams, people love him around the league, you know, a bit of a fan favourite for certain people. But Pelicans fans are getting kind of sick of him now at this stage. Well, the ones I'm seeing anyway. I thought he was always a weird, you know, or an awkward fit on this team. He just clogs up the paint, obviously can't stretch the floor, so clogs up the paint on Zion. And he's not a great rim protector either, so he's not that defensive anchor that you need. And he also clogs up the paint for Zion on the offensive end. So Steven Adams was always a weird fit. They gave him a big enough contract as well, 2 years, 30-something million. So he'll be hard to move on. I just thought it was a weird off-season move, in my opinion. And also Josh Hart. He's averaging 9.3 points per game, 7.5 boards a game, and 33% shooting from 3 on 4 threes a game. Another former Laker, another Laker came in the Anthony Davis deal. Josh, you know, we all know he's a very good rebounder, and he's a good player to have on a roster, you know. And if the Pelicans can keep him, and he's not asking that much money, they will keep him. But he's a free agent this off season, and if he's going out for the bag and just trying to get paid, the Pelicans are probably losing. You know, we have to wait and see what happens to him. And also Jackson Hayes, I think he's a good young player. He's averaging 5.5 points per game, 3.5 boards in 13 minutes. He might need to get more minutes. If you ask me, he got a really good dunk there a while ago. He's a very good player. Maybe we should get on the court a bit more. But that's their role players. So overall, the Pelicans, they're 7th in offensive efficiency this season. But their defense is letting them down massively. They're 28th in defensive efficiency. So that's a big drop off. You know, you got your 7th in offense efficiency and 28th in defensive. So it's not good. They're really poor at the perimeter defense as well, getting at the people, stopping trees. They're very bad at that. As I've said, they've blown 11 double-digit leads this season. Questions need to be asked of David Griffin, the GM. Once the Anthony Davis deal got done, most Pelicans fans were happy with what they got. And, you know, rightfully so. Brandon Ingram, Lonzo and Josh Hart, and a boatload of picks. But recently, hiring Stan Van Gundy, one of his best days were in the late 2000s and early 2010s with the Orlando Magic. He's been out of the game for a few years. That was a questionable appointment. That was, you know, really, is he the right guy for these young players in Zion and those boys? And of course, the off-season move was bringing in people like Steven Adams. Is he the right fit? You know, they're questions for Pelicans fans. David Griffin is their problem. So you guys tell me, Pelicans fans, what you think of David Griffin right now. Me personally, I think he's, as I said, he made some questionable moves. Stan Van Gundy, I liked it. You know, he's a decent guy, he looks like, from the outside. But is he a good enough coach in the NBA at this level, at this stage in his career? Steven Adams, as I said from the start, awkward fit. And, of course, people like the uncertainty around players like JJ Redick and, you know, Josh Hart and Lonzo Ball. So, Pelicans fans, tell me, what do you think going to happen now? Do you expect to make the playoffs this year, the play-in tournament, or are you doubtful that you'll get anywhere near that? So you guys, Pelicans fans, do tell me. But anyway guys, thanks for watching the video. Make sure to like the video, subscribe if you're new, and turn on notifications because we get at least 3 videos out a week, so stay notified. And with all that said, I'm out of here.